The third week of September is known as peak week, where there is a spike in asthma attacks requiring emergency room visits or hospitalizations. Now, today I have Dr. Payal Gupta, triple board certified doctor and allergy specialist, and Zeba Lennox, mother and blogger living with severe asthma. Good morning, ladies. How are you?
Good
Good morning.
morning.
Now, what is peak week and why is it so serious for people with asthma?
So asthma peak week occurs the third week of September each year, and it's a time, as you mentioned, that we see more hospitalizations and ER visits in people with asthma. And the reason for that is that there's a whole host of factors that are coming together all at once. Number one, it's fall pollen season, so that's ragweed pollen and also mold allergies that can come about and trigger people's asthma. Number two, cooler temperatures can also affect people with asthma. And then in addition, when it's cooler outside, we're spending more time indoors, which means more exposure to dust mites. And three, as our kiddos go back to school, we are seeing more of those fall viral infections creeping up. They're bringing home all those germs. And so all of these factors can cause asthma exacerbations, and it's especially worrisome for anybody with uncontrolled or severe asthma. So these patients have to be even more vigilant during this time of the year. And that accounts for almost 1 million people here in the US.
Zeba, what's it like living with asthma during this time of year and how do you get through the season?
Yes, fall is a very scary time period for those of us living with severe asthma. There's about 8 different triggers that can cause an asthma attack, and it can lead to hospitalizations or urgent care visits. And fall is about being outside. It's supposed to be a fun season. And for us with severe asthma, we kind of have to think long and hard before we go see our kids, sports game, for example. I have 2 little boys, so I'm required to be outside a lot of the time. And a couple of years ago, I ended up in the ER because I had a flare up. It was the worst time of year to be out there, and I really had to live with that. And so that made me think about what I was doing wrong and try to get ahead of my condition and work with an asthma specialist to develop an asthma management plan so that it doesn't catch me by surprise and I'm not treating the ER or urgent care as the primary way to treat this disease. It has been a total game changer because I don't have to neglect doing things that I love or things that like my hobbies or supporting my kids. And I hope that if you have severe asthma that you find an asthma specialist. We have an amazing website that's full of so many resources. It's called noasthmapeaks.com. And it's a great resource if you are falling into this trap of having your asthma be unmanaged and you're finding that you're constantly reaching for your emergency inhaler or you're ending up in urgent care. You don't have to live like that.
Zeba, why is it important for people with severe asthma to be working with a specialist?
Because you want to get ahead of it. You don't want to, again, be using these last recourse things as a way to treat your disease. And I think a lot of times when you have severe asthma, you don't realize it, but over time you start to live your life a little differently. You stop doing the things that you might do otherwise because you know it'll end up in an asthma flare-up, and you shouldn't have to live like that. You can get control of your asthma. And so an asthma specialist is going to be able to work with you and figure out what is the medication that's right for you. As Dr. Gupta said, there's so many medications out there available right now, and there's something for everybody.
Dr. Gupta, what makes severe asthma severe?
So asthma is a chronic lung condition and it causes inflammation in the airways. And for people with severe asthma, they have serious asthma and they have increased amounts of inflammation in their airways. And that's a serious condition because it can lead to more hospitalizations and emergency room visits and also really severe life-threatening outcomes. And so it's really important that they understand their asthma and know when it's not well controlled. So ways that we can find out if your asthma is not well controlled, there's something called the rule of twos. And what that is it's 3 different questions that we ask ourselves. Number 1, are you using your asthma inhaler or having asthma symptoms more than 2 times a week? Number 2, are you waking up because of your asthma symptoms more than 2 times a month? And number 3, are you having to get refills of your asthma rescue inhaler more than 2 times a year? If you answer yes to any of these questions, that means that you have uncontrolled asthma and you need to go and see an asthma specialist so that they can put you on the right preventative treatment to help prevent that inflammation from occurring so that you don't end up having a flare and don't end up in the emergency room and hospitalized.
Now, what can people do right now to help reduce the risk of exacerbations this summer, this season?
The best thing you can do is find an asthma specialist and go to our website. It's noasthmapeaks.com, K-N-O-W, asthmapeaks.com, and find somebody in your area and get more information about what might be triggering your asthma, and you can get your life back.
We've been speaking with Dr. Gupta and Ziva Lennox, talking about September is known as peak week. It's the third week, and it's a spike in asthma attacks requiring emergency room visits or hospitalizations. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us today and talking about this very important subject.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.